hair brushing ASMR until you hear ow for fuck's sake over the sensitive mic. I'm sorry. Ow. You can recommend a good detangler or defrizzer? I think I have one. It's just about actually using it. I haven't had my hair hyperfocus yet, so I tried to force it last, I want to say January. Yeah. So what happened to me last January was, I talked about this actually in my Discord a little bit, and I call it, I call it strategic hyperfocus switching, okay? Strategic hyperfocus switching is what I named it, okay? And I talked about it a little in my Discord, but essentially, what I try to do as an internet person is I try to, in order to not feel like I'm always doing a job and feel like I'm actually having fun, because, you know, it sucks to make content when it's a job. Like it sucks to be creative as a job. Being creative is something that is really, really easy to do when you feel like it, and it's really hard to do when you feel forced to do it. Now, obviously, jobs always suck, you know, but like, it's one thing to have like a job that has like set tasks that someone else describes to you, you know, not describes, but like, you have a job description, you have a set amount of tasks to do, you have things to do each day, you're assigned things, right? That's like obviously what most jobs end up being. And that sucks in its own way, you know? But being creative, when you feel forced to be creative, is something that, like, you can do it to a certain extent. You can force out creativity, but like, you can't really like do it forever. It's why, like, I think it's why it's so common for like burnout and for people to like quit and stuff, these kind of jobs, or to just stop posting or take really long hiatuses and stuff like that. Just because if you don't have any idea of what you want to do, if you don't have like a creative idea, you don't feel like, you don't have any sort of like, you have no goal, you have no idea what you're trying to do. Anyway, so I have this thing that I think I call it a tactical hyperfocus switching, okay? And essentially what I like to do is, I like to deliberately change hyperfocus in order to make sure that I'm always excited about something. So if you think of it like, I think of it in terms of content creation, right? So when I started posting online, the first thing I started doing was nudity, okay? That was the first thing. I started taking nudes, okay? I didn't even have my face in them initially. That was the first thing I did online, was taking, like, literally just taking nudes. Then, after a couple months of improving my skill, because it is a skill, obviously, I took like 2 months improving my skill in taking like good nude photos, and I started to get bored of it, right? The hyperfocus wore off after a couple of months. So the next thing I got hyper-focused on, and I was super early transition, so everything in my transition was new at that point. You know, I just started HRT like 2 months before. I started HRT like a month and a half before I started posting online. Anyway, what I did then was I switched, essentially, and the next thing I did was I started to practice makeup for the first time ever, and I was atrocious at my makeup to start. I was atrocious, okay? But I started hyper-focusing on makeup. I think I did eyeliner every single day for, like, I think I did my makeup, like my eyeliner and my brows, every single day for like 50 days straight or something. Every day I would spend at the start, because I was so bad at it, I would fuck it up so horribly. It took me an hour and a half, and all I did for my makeup was eyeliner, wings, and brows. I did that every single day for 50 days in a row. But after 50 days, I got bored of it. I lost my focus on it. You wish you could stay focused on something like that? Well, you can, but you only have a limited amount of time that you can do it, right? 50 days is not that crazy to dedicate to something. That was when I started posting online. And I didn't even get like much progress in those 50 days. They were kind of like, I wouldn't say wasted. They weren't wasted at all, but like, I could have learned much more effectively and efficiently in a different setting, you know? Almost certainly. I could have like had a better way of learning, but that was how I did it initially. And then what happened was I started not enjoying a specific type of content that I was making, namely like very like sexual photos, I guess, or like I remember I started not enjoying showing dick is what happened, okay? Because I showed it a little bit in the first month or two, and then I started really not enjoying doing that. And what I basically decided was, in my head at that time, the thing that I decided was I would rather not do that. So instead of showing a lot more of my body, I will start showing my face and less of my body. So I shifted the focus away from my body and towards my face. So I started posting photos that were still nude, but they weren't as explicit, but they included my face. So I would post like myself, like tasteful nudity, you know, like tasteful nudity, hot photos, mirror selfies, you know, all those things, but like without having like anything really sexual, you know? Like I wouldn't like, at the start, obviously, you know, TMI, I guess. But like at the very start of posting online, like I was like, oh, like I'm gonna, you know, use a dildo for the first time. Gonna, you know, oh, I'm practicing with a butt plug for the first time or whatever, right? Like stuff like that. And I decided like, I don't like that. After a couple months, I'm like, fuck it, I don't like that. So I'm gonna stop showing this, and instead I'm gonna just include my face. Your innocence, I'm sorry, okay? Then, once I started including my face in more, what I then did after, I wanna say 2 months or so of that, so now we started August, so August, September, October, November. Towards the very end of November, so about 4 months in, so after 2 months of one hyperfocus, 2 months of another hyperfocus, then what I did was I basically started taking, now I already kind of did this a little bit because I would be on Discord, and I would, you know, post and I would talk to people on Discord, and I would show my face on Discord, obviously, in a way that I wouldn't show at all on OF or on Twitter or publicly, right? Like, people on Discord would know my real name, not my internet pseudonym, but my friends on Discord and Discord servers, like public Discord servers that I would talk to, would know my real name, not my internet name. They would know what I looked like, they'd know my face, but they also knew my Twitter, you know? So they had information on me, essentially, that to that point nobody, like, on, like, even OF knew about me, right? Because they were, like, my friends, essentially. But I was used to taking photos that were only for Discord people, right? Like I would take headshots for my profile picture. I would take photos that were safe for work photos, even though I was technically a porn account, because I wanted to have a profile picture, you know? I wanted to have a profile picture that I could use on Discord and not get banned. I used to take banner photos that were like kind of lewd. If you've seen on Discord, my current banner photo is one of those ones where I'm like lying on my side on the bed, in underwear, but I'm wearing clothes. You know, I'm clothed. There's no nudity, but it's kind of suggestive, I guess. Anyway, so I take these kinds of photos. It is a good banner photo. I take these kinds of photos, and once I hit about end of November, very start of December, that was when I started to really focus on headshots. That was my next hyper focus. So I started taking literally no nudity whatsoever. Just headshots. And I started taking headshots, and that was kind of my hyperfocus until January, where I was doing headshots. But once January hit, this was January 2022, I wanted to induce a new hyperfocus because I was really insecure at that time about my lack of ability to style my hair. And my hair was also still in the growing phase. Like, so it was pretty short, you know? Like it wasn't, well, short is a stretch, okay? I wonder if I can find you a photo of it from back then. It was not short hair, but it was definitely not nearly as, like, I mean, you can see how long my hair is now. Look how long it is, you know? So let me go all the way back here and find you a photo of myself pre-blonding, the blondening, okay? This also be pre-surgery, which is crazy, okay? It's me in the dress that I wore yesterday for the photo, but it gives you a good idea of how long my hair is. I'll do that one, and I'll do one more. That's just an actual headshot that I took from back then. I'll find you a headshot that I took from that time when I was talking about it. This is how long my hair was. I love this photo. It's in the same dress and everything too. This is such a fun photo. This is my natural hair as well, you know? You got a fraught with the girls? You're gonna go? Thanks for watching. Yeah, it's the same dress. Yeah. But this is how long my hair was. Or this is the photo of me. This is like, I was practicing my headshots back here. But this is my natural hair color. And this was the headshot I was practicing. Also, like, look at my brows and stuff. But this is when I was practicing headshots a lot, basically. But you can kind of see the length of my hair from this, right? Not nearly. Like, kind of like here. You know? Well, I guess a little lower. But not really. Like, it's grown a lot, okay? But I didn't know how to style my hair. And so many of my photos from back then were like, I still struggle with this a lot, actually. But so many times I would try to take a headshot, and 90% of the photos would be outtakes because my hair would do like this. My hair would do this, and I'd have to flip it, and my hair would do this, and I'd have to flip it, everything. I'd have to keep moving it out of my face all the time because it wouldn't stay in my face, you know? All the time. It just wouldn't, and I didn't know how to style my hair. So what I wanted to do, I know, and it used to be so healthy before I bleached it and killed it. Oh my god, my hair was so healthy. Fuck. And it looks good. I know from looking at the photo, it looks great. It actually does look good. The problem was just that it was really hard to like look good in photo, you know, because it would keep like, it would just keep falling and stuff. So what I wanted to do to retrace because I'm rambling now, was I wanted to induce a new hyperfocus on my hair, essentially. Also, it wasn't just about my hair, it was that I'd felt like at this point in my transition, like at this point, I felt like I'd stagnated, you know? I felt like I wasn't improving any of my transition skills. I wasn't I wasn't improving my wardrobe, I wasn't improving my hair, I wasn't improving my makeup, I wasn't improving my style, I wasn't progressing my body because that's a waiting process. I was on the wait list for FFS, so that wasn't happening. That was a wait list. And I felt like I had my throat. I felt like while my skills had improved in my photos and stuff, I felt like I, as a person, had stagnated and I wasn't making any growth. Specifically within my transition. So, I bleached my hair blonde in order to, in my mind, hopefully induce myself into learning hair care. I literally bleached my hair in the hopes that it would make me take more time it would make me put more time and effort into understanding how to make my hair look good. That was like that's what I mean by a strategic hyperfocus, you know? Yeah. Now, it didn't work. Unfortunately, I tried, but hair is so difficult that it didn't really work for me because hair is like it's such a challenge. So it didn't work for me, unfortunately, but that's okay. I didn't get a hair hyperfocus. I practiced it a little bit, but the issue with hair is that it's not super conductive for my brand of ADHD, I guess, because you don't get to practice it repeatedly over and over and over. You take a shower, you dry your hair, you brush and you straighten it. I was trying to learn to straighten my hair. And you do those things. And if you fuck it up when you straighten your hair, if you fuck up straightening your hair, you do not get a do-over. You can't do it again because your hair is going to literally fucking fall off. It's going to break off and fall. So you can't redo it. You don't get to redo it at all. There's no do-overs. So I can't just sit and spend hours grinding hair because if I tried to grind hair, I would literally destroy it, you know? So I didn't get to, my hyperfocus plan for my hair fucked up. It didn't work. But then after that happened, the next hyperfocus, it's time gated, which is, if that fucks you, that completely throws you off. So after that, for the first time in my life, I was kind of without a hyperfocus for, not first time in my life, but at that point, I was without a hyperfocus for like 2 months, basically, because the hair one fell through. I started streaming, actually. I think streaming became my new hyperfocus, my substitute hyperfocus. But I started streaming, and that was, my first stream was my birthday, and my birthday was January 2nd, 2022. So I started streaming back then, and then I kind of streamed a lot. Even if I go look at my Twitch statistics, let me make it a little smaller so I fit on the side, you know? Maybe make myself a little smaller here so I fit on the side. But you can see, like, over here, like, I started a little bit, but then around about, like, this time, I was streaming a lot, like, in the March area, you know? This was when it was kind of my hyper-focus area. Also, this is great. Streaming is brutal. It's like, you can see my revenue here, my subscriptions and everything. It doesn't make a lot of money for a year, even at, like, I don't have that many followers, but it's like, you don't make a lot from streaming. Anyway, unrelated. I just thought I just noticed the number. Let me not tangent too much more. So then the next thing I was kind of hyper-focused on after that was, I started to get into what I'm going to affectionately call sad girl photos around about this time. This is where I was at the depths of my mental illness, okay? I had never been more distraught. My mental health has not been worse for a long time. I think I had FFS up and coming. Can we see a pic? Yeah, we can. I think I have one of my all-time favorite photos saved somewhere, but I will show you, okay? But I love this one. I love this photo so freaking much. Oh, I love this photo so much. I was so distraught at this time. I was so upset. I know, dog face, literally dog face. It's so fun. But yeah, I was so distraught, honestly. This was like the worst time ever, but I love this photo so much. Yeah, I do. You know what bothered me more about this photo than anything? When I posted it on my Twitter, I don't think people were expecting a sad girl photo from me. Or maybe people don't know how to comment on a sad girl photo. They don't know what to say. But all of the replies to this photo were comments about my shoulder freckles and my shoulders. That was like every reply to the photo was like, oh my god, I didn't know you had shoulder freckles. Oh, your shoulder freckles are so cute. And that, now in hindsight, I think that's a really nice compliment. But at the time, that made me so upset. Reading the replies about my shoulder freckles under like the most depressing photo I've ever taken was like actually infuriating. I thought I was going to I thought I was going to have a mental breakdown about that. I was like, these people, they don't understand me. Nobody sees me. Nobody knows who I am. Nobody gets me. What's the point of having I tried to recreate my entire social media presence in order to be... Oh yeah, I never really talked about this a little bit, but when I initially started posting on social media, I just was posting what's optimal. That was like how I basically operated, you know? Post what's optimal. That's it, you know? Do the optimal caption or whatever, I studied other people who were more successful than me and imitated, right? So I didn't feel like my social media was the real me. It wasn't really me at all. It was like a fictional character, you know, who just was there to look pretty and not say anything and not really have a personality whatsoever. And I didn't like that because at the time I had no friends whatsoever. And so I felt really alone at that point in my life. I used to sit and hang out and answer my OF DMs for like 8 hours a day, and not because I actually felt like not for any reason, like, other than I wanted to socialize. So I would literally socialize on my OF with people, and we'd talk, and I would be like, you know, people would be like, oh, like, I'm really lonely, and I'd be like, yeah, me too. Literally. I'd be like, I know, I'm also really lonely. Like, that's why I'm talking so much here. But it was nice. I made a couple of friends who I generally do consider, like, being friends from my OF DMs. Like, genuinely, I made people that I consider friends from OF DMs. But at this point now, I have actual IRL friends and stuff. So I also stream and I network on Twitter and everything. So, like, I don't have a lot of social energy for OF DMs. But at the time, I really did, you know? Anyway, yeah, that was when I think March was when I started, like, practicing, like, the sad girl photos and stuff. And I was trying to get a little more creative with my photos around that time, I think. Especially leading up to FFS was when I was really experimenting with getting more creative with photos, trying to do something a little more unique and artsy with them. I started getting into the artsy photos a lot in the lead up to my surgery. And then I got surgery in July. And then after that, my arcs have been basically a lot of it. My next couple, like, hyper focuses since then were, like, Twitter was a big hyper focus of mine for, like, 2 months. Like, really understanding how Twitter works was a hyper focus. Me and Poe actually kind of did that one together. We've spent a lot of time, like, talking with each other, just trying to understand exactly how, like, Twitter works in terms of algorithm and what it shows and stuff. So much of that work went out the window when Elon took over because he changes the fucking algorithm every single week. So much of what Elon has literally destroyed the understanding of social media and stuff for us. Because, it's not really, but, like, he resets it so quickly that it's, like, it's really hard to get a good grasp. And we haven't had another serious, like, hyper focus of grinding in understanding it, I think. Neither of us have for a good while, to be honest. You're going to ask how it works. I would have been able to tell you in the past, but now I don't really. I can give you good general advice. And I can I actually thought of, again, in the Discord. I did about a year ago, I want to say. Maybe even longer. I don't know how long ago it was. I did an OnlyFans entry course, basically. I did a stream where I talked about, like, my advice for OF and, like, how to get started. Not, like, how to get started, but just to, like, I basically gave people advice because people wanted to know, like, what do I do? If I want to be like you, what do I do? And now I have about a year more perspective on it, but also, unfortunately, I have a year of distance as well from it. It's a lot easier to give advice sometimes when you're earlier on, in a way. So in an odd way, I think I made this comparison with, I think I used this comparison with both makeup, and I'd use it with Ziana from Trans Voice Lessons as well, with voice tips as well. Sometimes learning from a master in a field can actually be a lot more challenging than learning from a peer who is just slightly further ahead than you are. In a way, those can sometimes be the best teachers for people rather than an actual, like, master, like, or a professional, you know? If you're, for example, trying to learn makeup, I can give you tips. I can give you tons of makeup tips when I do my makeup at my level. But the problem is, what if you're at level 0 and I'm giving you tips where, in order to even start this like working on my tips, you need to be at level 20, not level 0. And if you're not even at level 20, then all of my tips are useless to you. They make no sense. When I say, like, oh, so just do this brush motion, you're like, what the fuck brush motion? Just when you're using your eyeliner, just put it on your lash and drag it. And you can't do that. You don't even know how to, you're literally level 0. You're like, I don't fucking know how to do a line with eyeliner. What the fuck is a brush? You know? But if you're talking to someone who's level fucking 0, or sorry, not level 0, they're like level 5 or level 10, they're like, oh yeah, I got this really cheap brush and it's so good and it's really great for my eyeliner wings. And the only makeup they do is eyeliner and nothing else. That's a lot more digestible. Or I use the example with Ziana from Trans Voice Lessons. Z has, in my opinion, incredible advice for learning to voice train. However, when I started voice training from scratch, I actually watched her really, really old videos, not her new videos. I watched her super old videos because they made way more sense to me, because she was speaking as someone who also was new to voice training herself in the old videos. She was speaking my language in a way that was very easily understood by me. So all that to say, like, if I were to do a OF course now, like a guide for OF, guide for social media or something, it would be with a significantly different perspective that may not actually be as beneficial. Like, it may not actually be as useful for people, but it'll be very different than the advice that I would have given a year ago. Some things will stay the same, but I've thought about doing it again. But it's generally just it's generally like there's something about, anyway, I think I explained that pretty well. Let's move on. I don't want to look and say the same thing 3 times. I do that sometimes. So then I hyper-focused on Twitter a little bit. Then I went back to, after I gave my FFS a little bit of time to heal, I tried to get back into like artsy photos. And then towards I want to say October, November, December, maybe October, November, even or so, I was like going crazy with the fucking cool photos. Maybe like longer than that. Let me see if I can find here another one. Yeah, fuck. August, September, October, and a little bit of November even. I was going crazy. No, even through November, December, all the way to December. My fucking artsy photos were, that was an insane hyperfocus. I took some of my greatest photos ever. Greatest fucking photos ever in that phase. So many of them come to mind, actually. Your favorite photo was the umbrella one? I love that one as well. Let's see. Let me go find on my own Twitter here. So these are like, there's a lot of photos here. So these are my favorite selfies of 2022. But so many of these are all post FFS and stuff, because this is when I was really going crazy on my styling and like my photos. So this is the only, I think, pre-FFS photo on the list, but it was my initial dress photo. This is my first dress photo that I did. I still think this is a better photo than the one I posted, but it's fine. I think this is a better photo than the one I did just recently, but I couldn't recreate this. My ass isn't as big anymore. My ass is smaller right now than it was here, so I couldn't recreate this photo perfectly. Also, the quality of the camera, my current camera is better, which makes it harder to get this photo. Also, my hair is nicer here than it was there. Anyway, this photo, I love this photo. This one's so good. I did actually smoke a cigarette for this one. I love this photo so much though. This one goes crazy. Goes absolutely crazy. This is insane, this photo. The post orgasm, I titled that one. This one is so cool as well. I love this photo. I bought every single thing you see here. I bought it just for this photo. The shoes I bought for the photo. The tights I bought for the photo. The armbands, the headband were all purchased. Everything, even the bed sheaths were bought just for this photo. Every single thing in this photo was purchased just for this one photo. Can you share a trans W? Of course, yeah. I thought this one, I love this one. You thought it was a gnat? Nope, it's bed sheets. This is one of my all-time favorite photos. Seriously, I have so many good photos. This one was August, I think. And then I have this one. This fucking headshot. Oh my God. This one is fucking crazy. Holy shit, this goes so fucking hard. I take all the photos by myself, yeah. In my bedroom as well. Like almost every photo is just in my bedroom. I'm so proud of myself. I'm gonna flex a little bit after I talk about this. I'm gonna flex at how proud about myself I am. But yeah. This one is fucking insane. And look at this little twirl. Look at this twirling hair. Fucking crazy. Look at this hair. It's perfect. Perfect curl. Ugh. And then I have another one. So I try to pick a variety of shots between favorite mirror selfie, headshot, high effort photos. It was really hard to pick just 4, which is true. We got this one. I love this photo. It's just hot. It's just hot. I just look like a model here. I just look hot. It's a great photo. I just look fucking hot. Okay. Incredible. Also, let me actually show you here. If I zoom in on my own face here. This is my actual, I attempted the exact same eyeshadow in this photo that I have on right now. This is the exact same attempt. It's just nowhere near as good. It's pretty good here, but this is the exact same eyeshadow attempt here. It's not quite as good as this one. It's just, yeah, I didn't know exactly how to do it. It doesn't look nearly as intense as this does. I'm so much better now. I'm so much better now. Okay. Then we have, oh, whoops. I love this photo. I suffered for this photo so much, but I fucking love this photo. Look at my fucking fingers. Crazy. Love this photo so much. So spooky. So crazy. Love this one so much. Oh, so edgy. And then I have this photo, which is, I really love this one. I look like I'm made of literally like butter or something here. I don't look like I'm actually made of like skin and bones. I look like I have no bones here. I'm just squish. I'm just pure squish. I love the lighting in this photo though. It's so nice. I love this photo. It's a great photo. Just look like I'm made of fucking rubber. Squish me. Anyway, that was a big the photo shit was a big hyper focus for me all the way until like December. Since the new year, I haven't really been focused on artsy photos, which I think you can tell because if you go through my photos in the past like 3 months or so, the last time I had like really crazy artsy photo, I've had a few, but they're pretty rare. Most of them are just mirror selfies I've been taking recently. It's been a hot while since I've had pretty crazy hyper-focusing, pretty crazy like artsy photos. I've just been doing a lot of mirror selfies because my hyper-focus since then has really been makeup. Makeup and streaming have been the next thing that I've got hyper-focused on. Makeup and streaming and apartment stuff, I guess, as well. Yeah, so this has been a really long story for no real reason. I don't think this story needed to go this long, but anyway, ultimately, the strategy that I've been using is this switching up of hyperfocuses. But the nice thing about all of the hyperfocuses is I get to relate almost all of them to my job, which is essentially social media, right? In a way, you could say my job is OnlyFans, but it's not really, if you think about it. OnlyFans is simply how I monetize, if that makes sense. It's just how I monetize my internet following. But my actual real job is to get a social media following to monetize in the first place. That's like the actual job. And the only way that I do that without like hating my life is by constantly finding something new to be excited about. So whether that's being excited about makeup, being excited about taking headshots, being excited about artsy sad photos, being excited about streaming, being excited about shit posting on Twitter. It doesn't really matter how, as long as I just keep rotating these things that I'm excited about and that I'm excited about sharing with the internet, then I always have a reason to be posting, which means that I always build my following and grow. Right? That's essentially the goal, is just to keep yourself enjoying what you're doing. And if you stop enjoying what you're doing, I love the Reggie quote, honestly. I use the Reggie quote all the time. If it's not fun, why bother, okay? If it stops being fun, find something else that is fun, and then just tweet about that instead, okay? That's how I don't hate my job, basically. That is my strategy for not hating my job, is making sure that I just don't do things that I hate. And yeah, it works out pretty well.